Hey, greetings everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here, and welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast.
You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better dig deep and put 'em in the ground. Blood on their hands, they're hellbound. Save us all. Ooh, they're gonna burn it down. Save us all before they burn it down.
You know, back when I was a member of Congress, 2011, 2012, we started an organization, a political action committee called the Guardian Fund. Because one of the things I wanted to make sure of was that military and minority conservatives could get a means of funding and support in their quest to become members of the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. Because I remember when I first ran in 2008, I was asked by the National Republican Congressional Committee, how much money are you going to self-fund? And I had just gotten back from Afghanistan, so I kind of had to explain to them that I was not in a position to write myself a check. But when you think about young men and young women who have raised their right hand to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, we should be seeking out more of those individuals to be there in the House and in the Senate. And once upon a time, about 45 to 50 years ago, you had anywhere about 72 to 74% of the men and women up there on Capitol Hill who had raised their right hand and taken that oath, had served in uniform. Now, some of them not so great, like a John Kerry, but still, they have put their lives on the line for the country. Now today, that number is between 18 to 20%. So we need to get that number back up. And that's why I'm so excited about having this young man here with us. He is running for United States Congressional District number 8 here in the state of Texas, and his name is Nick Tran. Nick, welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast.
Very nice to have the opportunity to be here. I've always, seen you in the news, seen you, and I've always been admire you for what you've done and what you stand for.
Well, I appreciate it. So give us a little bit of an understanding about you, because as we were sharing off camera, when now the Undersecretary of the Navy, Hung Kao, was running for United States Senate out of Virginia, we had him on the program. You and him share that same very special, unique story. Share it with us.
Yeah, so I escaped Vietnam with my father the day Saigon fell. We got out at the very last minute because my father, instead of using his privilege to get out early, he went and helped coordinate a counteroffensive against the 20 divisions of North Vietnamese that were encroaching on Saigon, and fought them for 8 hours to give more people time to escape. And then we got out by boat because the airport had already been captured. My mom and my father had separated before, a few years ago, and she was stuck in the side of the city that had already been captured, so I never saw her again. But we found one of the last boats out and just jumped on a boat that was made for 18 people, and over 100 people jumped on the boat, and we went out to the South China Sea with no food, no water, just clothes on our backs. And then 3 days later, we were stranded in the ocean, ran out of food and fuel and water. And luckily, we got rescued by an American destroyer from the 7th Fleet, took us to Guam, and we lived there until we were granted political asylum to come to the United States. But that moment when we were rescued, even though I was only 5 years old, I swore that I was going to be an American and I was going to pay back this country. And when I was old enough, after graduating high school, I made good on that promise and joined the Army.
Did you ever get reunited with your mom?
No, we never reconnected. Most of everybody who was left behind ended up being sent to re-education camp. I have 2 half-brothers from my father's side that fought in the South Vietnamese Army, and they went to a concentration camp. So that kind of mentally messed them up. But they eventually escaped and came to the United States. One came here, one came in Canada.
And your dad was an officer in the South Vietnamese Army.
He was a full-bird colonel. He went to cross-trained with Americans, went to Command General Staff College in Leavenworth.
Yeah.
And but he got out of the military 10 years before I was born and worked for ESSO, which is Exxon.
Yes.
And was the kind of vice president for import exports for the country, the oil.
So, did you first come to Texas, or where was your first point of entry coming into the United States of America?
Yeah, we went to Texas first because he worked for Esso. He was hoping to get a job with Exxon, and but did not. But we came straight to Texas, Houston, Texas, Southwest Houston, and grew up there.
So you have been a Texan since you first were a little bitty boy, and now here you are running for Congress here in Texas. You talk about that experience that you had coming out of Vietnam. How does that shape your perspective and your insights when you look at what is happening with the Marxist left here in the United States right now?
It breaks my heart. After people have said that after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, they became radicalized. I felt like I was radicalized 50 years ago when I lost my country to communism. And I hate communism with every fiber of my being, and all the precursors that leads to communism, like socialism. It breaks my heart to see this country falling apart from the inside. People who are born here and don't realize how beautiful this country is, how it's a beacon of hope for America and the whole world. People don't escape to other countries who died trying to escape to other countries. They come here.
You know, there's a very large Vietnamese community down there in the Houston, Texas area. What's the sentiment with that community right now?
I feel like the older generation gets it, but some of the youth that have gone through our public school system have been indoctrinated, and they're voting for Democrats. And I try to tell them, hey, you don't understand where we came from. Our roots, we fought communism. And like this country, you're not victims. And the biggest thing is the left teaches people they're victims.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah, I saw that happen in the black community. When you look at from the time of the Great Society programs of Lyndon Johnson, a former senator and a president from Texas, how he just destroyed the black community, especially the thing that kept the black community strongest was the family, that traditional nuclear family. Let's talk about your family now. I mean, what's it like? Dad, husband?
I've been a lot of things in life. Combat vet, went to Harvard. These are great titles that I've had, but the title that I'm most proud of is being dad. It changed your whole perspective about everything.
Yeah. How are your kids?
My daughter is 4 and my son is 7.
Oh yeah, you got little ones. Yeah, I just celebrated my grandson's 2nd birthday a couple of days ago. So, you come here to the United States of America, you come here into Texas, you grow up in the Houston area, and then you get the opportunity to go to one of the most prestigious universities in the country, and that's Harvard. I wasn't smart enough to go to Harvard, man. So tell us about that.
Well, I didn't start off at Harvard. So I started at Houston Community College. Right after getting out of the Army, I used my job bill to pay for that. Knocked out about 61 hours, and then it took me a long time before I finished my undergrad. Life happened, and I did it the hard way. I did it after I got married, after I had kids, and I realized, hey, I'm in a senior level position, and for me to advance, I need to have that piece of paper. So after work, I would stay at work and knock it out and finish online. I got my undergrad online through Trident University. And after I got my undergrad, I decided, hey, why not? Let's just shoot for the stars. And if I miss, still hit the moon. So I applied for Harvard Business School, and lo and behold, I got in. And I was like, oops, I better finish. And while working for a full-time job, I knocked it out and graduated.
So let's just have a quick recap. You're a young man who got on a boat at the age of 5, floating out on the South China Sea. Run out of fuel, running out of food and water. You get picked up by a United States naval warship. You come here to the state of Texas. You are now a successful young businessman with an undergrad, an MBA from Harvard, a family man, serviced in the United States military. What's that message? I mean, you have lived this thing called the American dream.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to be, it seemed like I'm being humbled by saying that I accomplished all these things. Yeah, I did. You and I both accomplished great things, not because of the color of our skin, but by the color of our heart and the color of our soul, which is very bright. But another thing that we have in common is it is America that gives us the opportunity to do so, as long as you're willing to work for it. And I wanted to work for it and earn it, not because I'm great, but because this country is great.
Yeah.
the opportunity is here. As long as you want it, you got to go after it and grab it.
Now let's talk about something else where you and I share a common denominator. You know, I entered active duty in the United States Army at Fort Sill, Oklahoma in November 1983, and you entered active duty at Fort Sill, Oklahoma in 1988. What drove you to want to be a soldier in the United States Army?
Well, it wasn't my dad, I will tell you that, because I don't know if you've seen the movie Legends of the Fall.
Yes.
I love that movie, and it was Colonel Ludwig. He fought in the war and just saw the horrors of war and didn't want his sons to join the war. And my father did the same thing, fought in the Vietnam War and didn't want his sons, but all three of us went and joined. And I remember the day that I signed up, I made sure that I signed on the paper before I told my dad. So it was at dinner, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, I joined the Army." And he was like, just very angry, and just especially finding out I was enlisted, and him being an officer. And it's like, I wanted to serve. I told you I wanted to serve and pay back this country. I took my ASVAB, my GT, and scored real high. And originally I wanted to go to military intelligence, but that wasn't what the quota for that recruiter was for that month.
We know about
and
the
he's like,
recruiters.
"Oh, you don't want to sit in front of a computer for all 3 years. You want to blow shit up." So he showed me a video of guys jumping out of planes and shooting artillery howitzers, and I was like, that's what I want to do.
And he's a redleg, just like me, so you know I like him because he's a redleg. So what was it like, young enlisted man in the field artillery, and your first duty assignment was?
Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg.
I never call it by any other name.
That's it. So what experiences did you gain from that? And of course, your service in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, your first combat tour.
It was a great experience for me as a young man. The men that I fought with to my left and right, and Desert Storm, I would say that was, for me, it was the most clear and just deployment. Yeah. The war I was in, it was liberating Kuwait. We were on the west side of Iraq with the French and with 82nd and 18th Airborne Corps, and we invaded Iraq, fought all the way across Iraq into Kuwait. And growing up as a Catholic, I had a little bit of struggles from taking lives because we were in artillery, we shot a lot of rounds until we got to Kuwait. And then seeing the atrocities that the Republican Guard from the Iraqi army had done to citizens and civilians in Kuwait. And then I lost that guilt after that.
Yeah.
I just saw that what we did was just.
Yeah, you see the face of evil, and it really lets you know, based upon that quote from Sir Edmund Burke, all that's necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men and women to do nothing. Now, you had a break in service.
I had a 12-year break in service. Got out, went to college, and then started my career in energy and oil and gas. And 9/11 happened. I was downtown in Houston, and I saw those planes hit the towers, and I can tell you I was very angry. Yeah. That rage, that was my people, Americans dying, just trying to go to work, trying to make a living. At that time, my father was pretty old, and I knew I didn't have a lot of time left with him, so I didn't jump right back in. But in 2004, when he passed, I re-enlisted, tried out for Special Forces. And
at the age of?
35.
Boy, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, my mind was my mind was still that 18-year-old PT stud. Yeah. But once we actually did all the stuff that we did to try to get a Green Beret, it was my body was not 18 anymore. So I never got my Green Beret, but I stayed in regiment and deployed to Afghanistan with the unit, and did a lot of good over there. Saw evil again. Yeah. In a much deeper, darker form. Yeah. How they would come into villages and tell teachers, if you teach women, children, we'll come back and kill you. And actually, a group did. They killed a couple of girls and the teacher. Yeah. And we hunted them down. But that's my first time seeing like true evil. Yeah. And when we fought in Desert Storm, it was just another army. And when we fought in Afghanistan, they were monsters.
Yeah, it was going from, that traditional view of warfare, like you say, formations, tank formations, infantry, mechanized infantry formations, and what have you. But then you go and you're fighting an insurgency by way of Islamic terrorists who don't wear uniforms, don't openly declare who they are. And I think that'll be the nature of the battlefield going forward. So with that being said, tell us about Texas Congressional District number 8. Help the audience to kind of understand geographically where that is.
So Texas 8, after redistricting, is a very large district now. It was just Montgomery County. I live in...
And Montgomery County is just north
It's north of Houston.
Yeah.
Like the Woodlands, Spring area.
Okay.
And now it encroaches into Harris County with all the way down to Katy, Houston. Very large. It's predominantly Republican, 16 points Republican. But so we have to keep that seat red. It was Morgan Luttrell's seat, and after he announced that he was not going to run for re-election, I was originally running in Texas 2 against Dan Crenshaw. But once Morgan announced, I had a lot of veteran groups, oil and gas folks, reach out to me and say, you need to run. You need to carry the torch for veterans and oil and gas. And it made sense.
Yeah, because Morgan Luttrell is former United States Navy SEAL, and hopefully a lot of people know that name from Marcus Luttrell, who was the lone survivor from that Navy reconnaissance mission back in Afghanistan. So when you look at this Texas Congressional District 8, what do you think are the preeminent issues that people are concerned about there in CD8?
I mean, of course, it's about border security. Now that the border's closed, we still have a lot of remnants of what happened of having open borders in the last 4 years. I mean, human trafficking is huge. As big a concern from a person who's spent a lot of time in special operations is we have state and non-state actors that came in along with the 10+ million people. And what keeps me up at night is an October 7th type attack here in the United States in multiple cities from those folks. So a couple of things that I want to do, obviously, is making sure that we address those issues, support our law enforcement, but also empower the citizens, removing gun-free zones, make sure we protect their Second Amendment, and get them trained. I want to remove guns from schools. I mean, it sounds a little radical, but response time for a school shooting is 5, maybe 15 minutes. And that's plenty of time, as you know, for somebody to do something very bad. And to have teachers who voluntarily have the ability to protect themselves and get training for that is vital, because most schools have one resource officer. That's not enough.
No, it's far enough, and that's been proven time and time again. I mean, you just look at what happened at Uvalde, or you can go back to what happened at Florida at Parkland, a school that I know very well. One of the big contention points out there has been certain members, even Republican members here in the state of Texas, supporting this thing called red flag laws. How do you feel about that?
I would call those rhinos, not really Republicans.
Okay.
Red flag laws circumvent due process. So I am absolutely against that.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that, because I was like, okay, this is going to be tough. Now, we just saw what has happened in the Middle East. And you have deployed to the Middle East, like I said, in a traditional war, like you and I did, battle, and then a non-traditional, this fighting an insurgency. How do you feel about this whole peace deal, a peace agreement with Hamas? Do you think that they will honor it, or you think that we will continue to have to contend with Islamic terrorism in the Middle East?
Of course, I'm hopeful, but I don't trust them.
Yeah.
I mean, what President Trump has done to bar that peace agreement has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
But knowing the enemy, I don't trust them at all.
How do you explain, I should have asked this first, but coming back to the border issue, in your mind, how do you even reconcile, try to reason, or explain this leftist outrage about criminal illegal immigration? I mean, I'm trying to understand, why would anybody think it's a great idea to be out there and supporting people to be in the country illegally?
And it's just increased the number of potential new voters for them to redraw the district with voters that are aligned with the party that allowed them to come in and then get free health care, get free money, free education, free board. Yeah, they're putting stadium power over protecting the citizens of the United States of America.
Yeah, because when you look at November 2024, that clearly was one of the preeminent issues for the American people. But yet you see them not just doubling or tripling, but quadrupling down. And these are pretty bad actors that ICE is going out there and detaining, apprehending, and seeking to get them out of the country. Do you see that as a big issue down there in CD8? Because I know we have had some, I don't know if Colony Ridge is within CD8, but we've had some issues down there with criminal illegal immigrants.
Yeah, Houston is one of the largest human trafficking spots in the country. Especially like when it goes all the way down to Katy. The Katy Mills Mall is where like they have other kids recruit other kids, and you're on I-10 and you're gone. Yeah, recruit them and just, hey, come here, talk to this guy, and they jump in a car to get snatched, and they're gone. You've gone to San Antonio, gone to the triad between San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas. Yeah, and they're gone. Maybe down in Mexico or elsewhere.
Now you're running in a primary. And one of the things that people don't understand in the state of Texas is that we have open primaries, which means that anybody can come in and vote in a primary. Big point of contention right now in the state is that the Republican Party of Texas has brought a lawsuit saying that they want to have closed primaries. How do you stand on the issue of open or closed primaries here in the state of Texas?
I think that there should be more people to be able to stand up that is not part of the establishment. Regular people like, I want to say you and I, that love this country, people just step up and just to run, not backed by the establishment, not have a political career or career politician, but just who love this country. You just want to step up and do something, and honestly and truthful to save our country.
But do you think that we should have a primary system where just Republicans are voting in that primary, declared Republicans, Democrats can vote in their Democrat primary instead of this hodgepodge where we've seen Democrats come in and even influence and impact some primary elections or even Republican runoffs like we saw with the Speaker of the House, Dave Phelan, a couple of years ago. So would you close our primary system here in the state of Texas?
Yeah, you should, yes. You should have just Republicans running for Republican primaries and Democrats running for theirs.
Okay.
Just leave us alone.
Okay.
I mean, I know they don't want to because they want to overtake the seat and then the state, and if they win the state, they win the country.
How do you feel about Ms. Lena Hidalgo, the county judge, the county administrator down in Harris County? She's really has some issues down there.
Yeah, she needs to go. I mean, I heard about a story when it was a law enforcement officer's funeral, and the family didn't want her to speak, but she tried to demand that she wanted to speak at the funeral. It's like, no, sit down, stay out of this. Yeah. Like that, she needs to go.
Now, of course, right now we've got this issue of a thing called a government shutdown, and we're bouncing around. We got to get the troops paid. Where do you stand on this issue of a government shutdown?
Yeah, it should not. I mean, it's unconscionable to see that politicians can shut down the government because they're not getting what they want. And while our troops are standing on the line defending us, and not just that, once veterans and other people that have done their time, maybe get their benefits stalled from that, it shouldn't be. It should never happen. I think people in Congress who are responsible for shutting down the government should have their pay shut down as well until they resolve it.
And you'd live by that standard even as a member of Congress?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I made a pledge. For me, this is about service. I'm new to politics. I'm not new to service. I made a pledge that I'm only going to serve 3 terms. I also made a pledge that a third of my salary is going to veteran causes. Okay. So it's not about money, it's not about power, it's about service. And I feel that's what it should be for those in office.
When you look at the issue of education, and we've seen a lot of things going back and forth about this, do you support, parental choice in education, educational freedom?
As a parent, absolutely, yes. I don't want the state to tell me what my children should be learning and keeping that from me. Absolutely not. We should have the ability to raise our children the way we want to raise them.
What do you think is the biggest constitutional issue that we're facing in the United States of America right now?
First Amendment.
Okay.
I mean, if somebody can be killed in front of their wife and children for speaking the truth.
Or just speaking.
Yeah, we have a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, when one side calls us fascists and they're doing things that fascists do, that's a problem for me.
Yeah. Well, the left is very good at projecting who they are onto other people, and I think that's what we're seeing.
Exactly. Every name that we've been called racist, and they're the party of the KKK. They're the party of the fascists. They're doing what Nazis are doing, but they're calling us that because we don't agree. I don't. That's what I'm fighting for. That's why I'm standing up.
Without a doubt, whoever comes out on top in this primary will end up being the next congressional representative from Texas, CD8. If it's you, what would be your top 3 priorities, and what committees would you like to serve on?
My top would be obviously fixing the border issues. I mean, the borders are closed, but like the issues that have transpired because of open borders, with human trafficking, making sure that our law enforcement is supported, given the resources. Second is protecting the Second Amendment, which is part of my logo. It's got 2A, and the pump jack, which is America's energy independence.
Yeah.
And the other thing is,
with the state of Texas on it?
Of course, being a military combat veteran, I want to make sure that our military is not used in the wrong way. We're not nation builders. We're not the world's police. We should send our sons and daughters to fight for our sovereignty and our protection, not for other causes, not to make politicians and military manufacturers rich.
What would be the committees you would seek to be a member of?
Security, intelligence, of course the VA.
Okay, so armed services?
Yes.
Okay, and the VA, Veterans Affairs, and what was the third one maybe?
I do want to get involved in education in the fact of making sure that our kids are not indoctrinated in the schools. Okay. Parental choice, making sure that the Constitution is part of the curriculum and that it's not taught anymore in history, learning history, because if you don't learn history, you're going to repeat it.
Yep, George Santayana, that's exactly what he said. We're going to close out this interview, and I'm going to give the final 2 minutes to you to address the audience. Let them know truthfully who Nick Tran is, why they should support you in this endeavor to be the next member of Congress from Texas Congressional District 8. The floor is yours, Nick.
Well, thank you, Colonel West. I'm Nick Tran. I'm a father and a husband, combat veteran. I came here with nothing but the clothes on my back. And like I mentioned earlier in my interview, it is not because I'm some extraordinary person or I've had an extraordinary life. It's because this country is extraordinary. America is the beacon of hope for the world. And I escaped Vietnam during the fall of Saigon. My country, we lost my birth country to communism. And I hate communism from every fiber of my being and every precursor that leads to communism, like socialism. So I'm standing up. I fought for us overseas in 3 different wars. And to see that our country is getting destroyed from within breaks my heart. And that's why I want to stand up again. It's nothing that I ever thought I wouldn't want to do. Never thought I would want to be a politician. But to see it get destroyed from within, I felt like I need to step up. It's not something that I'm comfortable with. I don't like being in the public eye. I definitely don't want to put my family in the public spotlight, but we're doing it because America's worth it. There's no other country like America. I was able to achieve the American dream in my lifetime. And what I'm fighting for is to making sure that my children, your children, and your grandchildren still have a shot at that American dream. So I'm Nick Tran. I'm running for Congress in Texas 8. To learn more about me and what I'm fighting for, please visit nicktranfortexas.com.
Nick, thank you so much. And I will tell you, you got my steadfast and loyal endorsement, because In an era when we turn on the TV and we see people like Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez or Jasmine Crockett, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, Hakeem Jeffries, or now we're looking at a person like Zohran Mamdani to be the mayor of the greatest city in this country. Nick Tran is the example that we should have out there for our young people to see. As he said, imagine being 5 years old and getting in a boat, not knowing what your future will be, not knowing if you're going to survive, not knowing if that boat's going to capsize and you're going to drown, and being out there afloat listlessly on an open ocean, but to be picked up by a United States naval destroyer and to see that flag, that American flag. Nick Tran knows what that American flag represents. That's why he wore it on his shoulder in the uniform of a United States soldier. And he sought to bring that same freedom and liberty to others. And now he's seeking to bring that same freedom and liberty to us here in the United States of America so that we don't fall as he saw his home country as it fell. So God bless you, Nick. Thank you for being with us. Steadfast and loyal, red leg, and go out there and do well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. And folks, please, if you like this episode of the Steadfast and Loyal podcast, please click the like button, share it with others. And until next time, always remain, as Nick Tran has done in his life since he set foot here in the United States of America and in the state of Texas, remain steadfast and loyal. Thank you.
Before they burn it down.